Caitlin Clark just humiliated reigning MVP Aja Wilson, and it's blowing up across the sports world. We're talking about a moment that could change the narrative around both of these superstars. But before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a beat of this unfolding drama. Aja's been making waves, not just for her game, but for her comments off the court. Now, with tensions rising, the clash between her and Caitlin Clark is turning into much more than a basketball rivalry. Is this about race, privilege, or just pure basketball dominance? We're going to break down what really went down, and trust me, it's bigger than you think. Aja Wilson is a force to be reckoned with in women's basketball, but she doesn't always get the love she deserves. Last year, she won the WNBA MVP, but instead of everyone celebrating her skills, controversy came knocking. A video popped up showing Aja having a heated talk with her teammate Kelsey Plum about white privilege and other social issues. It was intense. Aja was laying it all out, letting everyone know she's aware of the privileges some players have, including herself. But let's be real, it's not every day you hear someone lecture their teammate while also winning MVP. Some people are wondering if she's pushing things a bit too far, especially when she's living a life many can only dream of. Imagine getting called out for privilege while you're holding a trophy. Recently, Aja was back in the headlines when another video went viral. This time, she was pointing at Caitlin Clark and calling out white athletes like Paige Bueckers, saying they should be grateful for their privilege. And guess what? This happened while Aja's team is struggling to even make the playoffs. Talk about picking the wrong time to start a debate. Critics are like, Aja, maybe focus on winning a few games before you start calling people out. The strange part is this video was filmed over a year ago, but it's making waves now, which makes you wonder if Aja was sending a message aimed squarely at Clark. Timing is everything, and right now, the timing feels off. It's a bit confusing to see Aja pointing fingers about privilege when, let's face it, she's had a pretty cushy life herself. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is out here smashing records and making the league look easy. It feels like Aja is balancing between being the victim and the oppressor, which doesn't sit well with everyone. People are starting to ask, is she focusing on the right thing here? Instead of letting her game speak for itself, Aja's narrative is shifting towards social issues, and it's making people wonder if she's overshadowing her own talents with all this drama. Basketball. Aja! Keep your eyes on the ball! The story Aja is telling doesn't exactly match her background. She went to private schools that cost more than most people's annual salary, had top-notch coaching, and a family that supported her every step of the way. On the other hand, players like Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Plum didn't have the same cushy setup and had to grind their way to the top. Aja's life is a highlight reel of opportunities that most people would dream of. So when she talks about oppression, people are scratching their heads and wondering if she's lost sight of how good she's had it. Maybe instead of pointing fingers, she should be tipping her hat to those who've had it harder. More and more fans are turning their attention to players like Caitlin Clark, who just put their heads down and get the job done. While Aja is out here talking about privilege, Caitlin is showing what hard work and dedication can achieve. The contrast is clear, and it's making people ask some hard questions. Why should Aja play the victim when her life is filled with so many perks? Clark and Plum have had to fight for every bit of recognition, and they've done it without any handouts. It's hard for people to buy into Aja's complaints when they can see how much she's been given. The idea of privilege is at the center of all this drama. Aja keeps calling out white players for not understanding the benefits they've had, but it's clear that she's had more than her fair share of privilege too. Before she starts pointing fingers at others, maybe she should take a long look at the road that got her to where she is today. There's a real frustration among fans when they see athletes like Kelsey Plum and Caitlin Clark work so hard to make it, only to have their efforts overshadowed by complaints about privilege from someone who's had plenty of help along the way. Jason Whitlock wasn't shy about calling Aja out. He tore into her, saying it's ironic that someone who's lived a life of comfort is now talking about how tough things are. Whitlock didn't hold back, pointing out that Aja's complaints don't really match up with the reality of her situation. She's in a league where most of the players are Black women, and yet she's talking about systemic oppression, like she's the one facing all the challenges. Whitlock's critique really struck a chord with a lot of people, and it's left many agreeing that Ajah's perspective seems a little out of touch with her own success. To add more fuel to the fire, Ajah just scored a massive shoe deal with Nike. That's right. After all the talk about privilege and white athletes, Nike handed her a signature shoe contract. Some people are scratching their heads at this decision, wondering if Nike is more interested in making a political statement than celebrating the players who are actually elevating the game. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is out there breaking records and pulling in fans from every corner, but she's not getting the same kind of attention from big brands. It's like Nike decided to back the drama instead of the talent. Even with the big shoe deal, it's hard to imagine Ajah's sneakers flying off the shelves. While she's making headlines for her opinions, Caitlin Clark is making waves for her jaw-dropping performances on the court. The difference between these two couldn't be clearer. Ajah is talking about social issues while Caitlin is letting her game do the talking. Some people are even saying that Nike bet on the wrong horse by focusing on Ajah instead of riding the wave of Clark's undeniable talent. It's a business decision that might not pay off in the long run. While Ajah continues to talk about privilege and inequality, Caitlin Clark is rewriting the history books in women's basketball. Clark's performances are nothing short of spectacular, and she's drawing in fans from all over, not just because of her talent, but because of her sheer determination and focus. While Ajah is stuck in a debate, Caitlin is out there doing what she does best, dominating. The difference is stark, and it's no surprise that Clark is winning the hearts of fans from every background. Even people who might not have paid attention to women's basketball before are tuning in just to see what she'll do next. Ajah Wilson's recent efforts to undermine Caitlin Clark are both sad and unnecessary. Every time Ajah complains about privilege, she exposes her own insecurities instead of focusing on her achievements. While she tries to present herself as a victim, it becomes more and more clear that she's worried about being overlooked. Ironically, the more she speaks out, the more it highlights Caitlin's rising stardom. When Caitlin Clark's signature shoe is eventually released, it will be as though Ajah's popularity is being used to boost Caitlin's legacy. Ajah's attempts to criticize Caitlin only hurt her own reputation, while young fans continue to choose Caitlin as their favorite player, ensuring that she will get the most attention. Ajah seems to think she's telling an important story, but what she's really doing is pushing people away. Nike, in backing Ajah with her own shoe line, appears to be supporting the wrong player. They're trying hard to make Ajah's shoes a big deal, but the reality is, Caitlin is the one making waves on the court. Ajah's focus on feeling slighted and victimized is causing her public image to fade faster than her influence in the league. Nike's marketing strategy seems misplaced, as Ajah's relevance is shrinking while Caitlin's presence continues to grow stronger. It's almost ironic that while Ajah is focused on personal grievances, Caitlin is quietly becoming the real star of the game. Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, is putting up impressive stats, breaking records, and performing like a true champion. Despite all this, Nike is still choosing to highlight Ajah as the face of the WNBA, but the audience isn't responding in the way they'd hoped. The TV ratings show a clear difference. Ajah's presence isn't boosting viewership. Ajah seems trapped in a mindset of entitlement, acting as if success is something she's owed, while Caitlin is the one winning over the fans with her talent. Instead of recognizing this shift, Ajah continues to talk about being treated unfairly, while Nike misses the opportunity to spotlight the real star in Caitlin Clark. Fans of basketball are more drawn to skill and talent than to drama and controversy. Nike's decision to push Ajah as the face of the WNBA isn't just poor marketing, it's becoming embarrassing. The difference between Ajah's struggle to remain relevant and Caitlin's effortless dominance on the court is becoming more apparent by the day. Yet Ajah continues to cling to her narrative, even though it's not helping her. Nike can't seem to understand that no amount of marketing will make up for the fact that Caitlin is the real attraction. The gap between Ajah's storyline and Caitlin's success is only growing wider. While Ajah focuses on stirring up controversy, Caitlin Clark is breaking records and drawing in massive audiences. The numbers don't lie. Caitlin's games brought in 1.8 million viewers, while Ajah's games only attracted around 900,000. These numbers make it clear that Caitlin is the star that people are watching, and Ajah's complaints aren't changing that. Caitlin is proving herself to be the athlete everyone wants to see, while Ajah remains stuck in a cycle of frustration and grievance. The attention Caitlin is getting isn't just a coincidence. It's because she's delivering incredible performances every time she steps on the court. Recently, Caitlin Clark drew 1.8 million viewers during an NFL Sunday, which is a huge accomplishment considering the competition for attention. Meanwhile, Ajah's game on the same day pulled in 900,000 viewers, which, while not terrible, is still far behind Caitlin's numbers. This highlights the difference in how the public perceives the two athletes. Ajah is undeniably talented, but instead of focusing on her game, she seems more preoccupied with perceived injustices. If Ajah shifted her attention toward her performance and embraced her role as a leader in the sport, she could achieve even greater things. Instead, her focus on being the victim is holding her back. The Las Vegas Aces, Ajah's team, are also facing challenges, and their struggles go beyond just the rise of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin's success isn't just because she's white, it's because she consistently performs at an incredibly high level. Every time she plays, she lights up the court, while Ajah seems more focused on external issues than on leading her team. The Aces, who were once dominant in the WNBA, are now in danger of missing the playoffs. Ajah's complaints about privilege and attention aren't helping her team get back on track. Even her coach, Becky Hammond, has expressed frustration with the team's recent performance after their loss to the New York Liberty. Coach Becky Hammond has spoken openly about the difficulties the Aces are facing. Despite being a team that has won 2 championships in a row, they are struggling this season. The fire and drive that carried them through the 2022 and 2023 playoffs seem to have fizzled out. Although the team showed moments of brilliance earlier in the season, they haven't been able to maintain that energy. It's clear that distractions off the court, including the players' increased fame, are affecting their focus on the game. Ajah, as one of the leaders of the team, should be helping to refocus the group, but instead, she's contributing to the problem. Ajah's tendency to blame her team's issues on external distractions like fame and privilege is only adding to their difficulties. Instead of stepping up as a leader and helping her team get back on track, she's doubling down on the narrative of being mistreated. It's frustrating because Ajah has the talent and the platform to make a real difference, but her focus on personal grievances is holding her back. If she could shift her mindset and focus on what she brings to the court, she could inspire her team and lead them to success. But for now, her complaints are overshadowing her skills. The world isn't ignoring Ajah because of the challenges she's facing. It's because they see through the narrative she's pushing. Fans and analysts alike are starting to recognize that Ajah's constant complaints about privilege aren't reflecting the reality of her situation. Rather than focusing on her own immense talent and the opportunities she has, Ajah seems fixated on what she feels she's owed. If she could let go of the victim narrative and embrace her strengths, she could reshape the way people see her. Instead, she's doubling down on an outdated story that's no longer serving her. Ultimately, Ajah Wilson's insistence on framing herself as a victim is only hurting her own image. The more she talks about perceived injustices, the more people see through the facade. Ajah has incredible skills and the platform to do great things, but until she starts focusing on her performance and leadership, she'll continue to be overshadowed by players like Caitlin Clark, who let their talents speak for themselves. Instead of pushing the same old story, Ajah would be wise to focus on her abilities and the impact she can have on the game. Ajah Wilson's focus on issues like privilege and inequality is hurting her image and her career. While she's an incredibly talented player, her off-court comments are drawing attention away from her skills. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is focused on the game and performing at an outstanding level, which is earning her more fans and recognition. The difference is clear. Clark's dedication to basketball is what's getting people's attention, not drama or controversy. Ajah's constant focus on external issues is making it harder for people to appreciate her talent. On the other hand, Clark's hard work and record-breaking performances are showing everyone what true dedication looks like. Fans are starting to turn away from Aja's complaints because her situation doesn't match her narrative about privilege. This is not only affecting her personal brand, but also impacting her team, the Las Vegas Aces, who are struggling to stay focused and win games. If Aja continues to focus on these issues, she might lose more ground in the public eye. Fans are looking to players like Clark and Kelsey Plum, who are seen as hardworking and focused on basketball, not personal controversies. If Aja doesn't shift her attention back to her game and her role as a leader, she risks falling behind while Clark continues to shine and capture the attention of basketball fans everywhere. What do you think about this ongoing drama? Is Aja Wilson right to speak out, or is Caitlin Clark proving that pure skill is what matters most? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay updated on this rivalry and all the latest from the world of basketball.